No, critical thinking, if you really want to challenge the establishment, critical thinking is your strongest weapon. Rigid, ideological, resentful, closed thinking is what lets people control your life. Because once they figure out the pattern, once they figure out your cognitive map about the things you love to believe, it's easy to manipulate you. Critical thinkers are the hardest people to get over on because they're the ones that always stop and ask another question, even a question that may be uncomfortable for them. To say that, critical thinking is just this whitewash of, oh, stop asking questions. No, critical thinking is the thing that says, start asking questions. And don't be afraid of where they go. And I think that's a really important skill. And it's something that people don't want to do because real critical thinking challenges everybody.
Well, all right, America, I hope you're happy. I hope you're real happy with it. I've tried to tell you that America is sliding into socialism, and I've said it before. If you didn't listen to the Hour of Being Good earlier on, what letter does socialism start with? S. What letter does Satan start with? S. What letter does sodomy start with? S. What letter does soccer start with? I'm going to give you a great big guess on that one. It's an S. Do you think this is some kind of coincidence or something? Do you really honestly think that? Because it ain't. It ain't at all. Soccer is against God.
Of what they think. I think that saying that it's real, though, and that it really happened in reality, because if you haven't noticed, the world is littered with people that are so easy to believe something. We've even got new studies being done to see if memory regression is actually creating memories instead of helping people remember memories. And I think we are all going to be shocked at the results. I think that the results are going to come out and say the majority of regressed memories are littered, are full of inaccuracies. Here's the point. If I was to get up on this screen and I was to go through and debunk 20 major evidence points for Pizzagate, if I was to debunk it scientifically with evidence, you would have all those Pizzagate YouTubers attack me. You would have their audience attack me. Even if I did it in the nicest way, even if I criticized them in the most laid-back fashion, and even if I told them in the end that I could understand why they believe what they believe, but that I can prove that what they're believing about the popular key points of this conspiracy was fashioned, was misinformed, created to boost the agenda. You to kind of understand that this whole thing I've talked about since I started the show is being weaponized against Craig Sawyer. But if you followed my content at all, and I know it's not easy. I'm sorry it's not easy. I'm trying to make it easy. I'm just a dude, man. If you followed my content at all, then you know that Craig Sawyer was targeted because he was targeted when he criticized this man. I'm pulling it up. Don't you rush me, Mr. Busy the Baker. You're the one that's drunk every night, not me. Well, I like it. Give me it. I'll drink the whiskey instead of you. At least I'll get to, have some type of enjoyment from buying it for you every night. Oh, yeah, I knew you wouldn't give it to me. Okay, this dude, Dnajlion 7. Craig criticized him. And almost immediately, you saw websites start to attack at Craig Sawyer. You saw Lift the Veil attack at Craig Sawyer. And then we've got Dnajlion responding to Craig Sawyer criticizing. Now, what did Craig Sawyer criticize Dnajlion for? From what I got from it, which, by the way, I don't want to speak for Craig, and that's why I want Craig to come here and talk. But what did Craig say to Dnajlion? Well, of course, Craig said that you have to have evidence, and you can't just pull up an unnamed source and expect to be able to say that this person and that person and this person and that person are doing these things. That's not how it works. It's actually, it's defamatory, it's slanderous, it is wrong. Now, Dnajlion should understand this, because he claims that all the people that talk about his very extensive and recent, and that's the only reason I'm bringing up that it's recent, criminal background, he goes around saying that people are using it against him, right? Well, the problem is they source his criminal record to the courts of the United States of America. That's the thing. That's what helps us be able to remember when someone does the things like Dnajlion did. Now, you take a man that, I've made this point a million times, and I'm definitely going to make it tonight. And yes, I do believe this Aussie guy who criticized me is pissed off because I criticized Dnajlion, Vegan Mikey, and other people that make claims without evidence, but then expect us to send them money and believe them and hate the people they're naming without evidence. The people that have evidence, I'm fine with listening to, by the way. See, that's what these guys will never tell you. They will never tell you how I'm fine with you. I'm fine with people that hurt kids going to jail. I wish they would get longer sentences than they already do. I think it's a miscarriage of justice when they don't get long sentences, even if it's a minor crime against a kid. I think there should be a line drawn for that type of thing. And I think that people should go to prison, they should be completely prosecuted. What does that content do, though, that Dnajlion's doing? It usurps the justice system. It makes it to where people have a hard time of bringing a case against someone else because it puts a bunch of rumors into the streamosphere that I call it, or the internet sphere. It puts rumors out there. It puts, I'm telling you guys, if you're still stuck in this thought process that people are evil enough to do A, B, and C, but they're not evil enough to lie, then someone has got in your head. So this is what Dnajlion said about Sawyer in response to Sawyer criticizing Dnajlion for not having evidence.
Organization that's supposed to help with the child sex trafficking in terms of exposing it and rescuing children.
But yes, Dnajlion, that's what you claim your YouTube channel is doing. Now, I can actually see what Craig Sawyer has done. I can't see one thing that you've done. Not trying to defend Sawyer. I'm going to let him come in here and defend himself.
But the guy actually protects pedophiles and is a complete fraud.
So in this 6-minute video, he aims to present us real evidence that will convince us the statement he just made about Craig Sawyer. Personally, I think Craig should take this guy to court. I don't think he will. Let's take a look. Let's run through the video and just see if he presents a single document, a single web page, a single court record, a single one piece of information at all that states that to back up his claim that he just made. Or let's see if Dnajlion is actually doing the thing that he's been criticized by thousands of people for doing. Well, if we run through it, I don't see a single piece of paper. I don't see a single screen cap. I don't see a single thing here that would say he has any evidence whatsoever. But let's skip through it and hear what he says. Fair use article in the About section.
So I was sent this by my source, and so I'm just going to read it.
Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Dnajlion, wait a minute. You're telling me that your evidence against Mr. Sawyer is a anonymous source, a rumor, an unconfirmed rumor, right?
I have information for you that cannot be made up. Craig Sawyer.
That cannot. Now, he starts off by telling you this can't be made up. So guess what? It can't be made up. I typically think that when people start off giving evidence by saying this can't be made up, it typically is because they made it up and they're guilty. But I'm just crazy.
Sawyer is affiliated with very powerful men that comes straight from an insider that was in Southeast Asia with Mr. Craig Sawyer.
Now, if you want to say that this came from an insider that is from a person that was with Sawyer in Southeast Asia, you got to give his name. You got to let him give the testimony so that it's on him if he does turn out to be lying. And then people can fact check if this person was in Southeast Asia when he claims to be. You see, that's how you give someone an opportunity to defend himself. Reason I'm pulling this up, is it to discount his claim against Craig? No. Is Craig a bad guy? I haven't seen any evidence to say, but until I see the evidence, then that's where I'm sitting. But what my point is, though, is that these guys, and he is a part of the group. It's not just him. He's advertised, he's sourced, linked, shared, and talks on the phone and private conversations and other lots of things I could name too. Lift the Veil, Titus, Fiona Barnett, and all of the we'll call them the famous accusers out there. After he reads a email from someone that knows him and was in Southeast Asia with him, but doesn't give us any way to verify it or any way for Mr. Sawyer to defend himself against it, because Dnajlion does not believe in a justice system. He does not believe in the Constitution. He has not read it, obviously. He doesn't care to live the values that are in it. He doesn't care to say, wait a minute, I got to make sure that this guy has an opportunity to defend himself. I got to make sure that my claim against him is based in evidence and not in rumor, for God's sakes. If I'm willing to, try to destroy an entire operation that is out in the streets helping kids, right? I just think that would be nice of Mr. Dnajlion, right?
Corruption. So, Craig Sawyer is...
Right? My point is that this was no better than just rumor. But Mr. Dnajlion, Fiona Barnett, Lift the Veil, and others consider it evidence. If the people that are coming out and telling you who the evil people are, if they're coming out and telling you who is for the good side and who for the bad side, if they don't even know the difference between sourced information, factual information, circumstantial information, fake information, if they don't know the difference between that and fact, right? If they can't determine what one piece of information, then how can you trust any information that they bring you ever? Because if we take just this one video into account and say to ourselves, can we trust this guy to unbiasedly bring us no, he's definitely biased. He took a bias against Sawyer when Sawyer criticized him and decided to make a hit piece back against him where he frames, I won't even call it, it's not even it's rumor. He frames a rumor, he frames a few keyboard strokes on a paper as hardcore evidence to be able to differentiate. That's the major crux of my criticism. Mr. Aussie, I know you're out there watching, Mr. Aussie. I would bring up a couple other clowns, but I shut them down so hard I'm not going to bring them up anymore. But you can add them to the list too. All the people out there that think that these type of intimidation tactics are accepted by the population just because you have a few people that'll leave you comments telling you how good of a job you've done, right? You got a few people that are willing to send you a couple bucks on PayPal telling you, you need to keep it up and give you a pat on the back just because you got a lot of mentally sick people that support you. And yes, but don't call everyone that supports him mentally ill. If you can hear this kind of content and come out the other end thinking it's a fact, you do have something wrong. I'm not putting you down. I'm just trying to be real here. You need to get help if you come out the other side of a video like this. The Dnajlion with his... Look at what he puts up here. Now, Isn't it ironic? That's the exact same title, other than the fact that he called me gatekeeper instead of whatever the hell is here, right? I was called a gatekeeper, and but it's the same thing, same basic kind of thing, other than the guy that did it with me took 15 minutes of one of my videos, put it up, and then linked like a couple other videos in behind it, which, by the way, unless he contacts me very soon, I'm probably going to end up striking the video for, just a straight up rip of my content without even contacting me or getting a hold of me and talking to me about the content, just to keep things, out there. I might not. Who knows? I guess it'll depend on what he says to me when he emails me, right? In the end, though, you're going to see this a lot. But what's more ironic than the fact that I'm showing it to you? that I told you this would happen. How long ago did Backyard Brawl start?
It's okay to say, look, I said something and I've thought about it and people argued with me and I've changed my mind. It's okay to change your mind. I started my career as a young Cold Warrior. And I have now come, 30 years later. My last book before this was about why we need to engage in unilateral reductions in nuclear arms and get rid of the damn things. You can change your mind, but that starts by being open to changing your mind, which is the key to critical thinking. I don't think you should be so open-minded, as the expression goes, that your brain falls out. But this notion that, critical thinking is just a weapon of the establishment. No, the critical thinking is what the establishment, insofar as one even exists in our very modern time, is your best weapon for dealing with whatever's coming over your TV screen or through your radio or from some, middle-aged professor talking to you, in the middle of a room. It's an important skill to develop. And again, at the root of it is a certain amount of humility and a dedication to logic and empiricism, no matter where it leads, even when it goes places you don't happen to like.
Well, all right, America, I hope you're happy. I hope you're real happy with it. I've tried to tell you that America is sliding into socialism, and I've said it before. If you didn't listen to the Hour of Being Good earlier on, what letter does socialism start with? S. What letter does Satan start with? S. What letter does sodomy start with? S. What letter does soccer start with? I'm going to give you a great big guess on that one. It's an S. Do you think this is some kind of coincidence or something? Do you really honestly think that? Because it ain't. It ain't at all. Soccer is against God.